Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So let's show something here that we've actually logged in. So let me see where these icons are coming from. So I'll right click and click inspect element, and it seems these icons are bootstrap icons because there's BI there. So we can try and edit them and see if they're going to change. So I'm going to go to my project folder here, and let's go into app, views, and includes, header. Actually, not header. Let's go to the navigation. So go to nav, and somebody reminded me that this main thing here at the top isn't supposed to be here actually. So I'm going to cut that out, and I have to put it after the header down here. That's where it originally was. So let's save that and let's make sure we haven't broken anything. Okay, good. So what I want to do is right here when I log in, I want to show the user's name that was logged in. So what I'll do is click login so I can log in and log in. So now I'm logged in, but we have logout, but let's see if we can add something here. Okay, so we're going to put a name there. So what I'll do is I'm going to go to models and authentication. So what I want to do is create a system where I can grab any column from the database that I want, any column from the users table. So that's what I want to do. So in this case, if we go to our Udemy DB and we go to users, you see that there are several columns here which now have been loaded into the session file, the session variable. So the thing is, these columns will change over time. So I'm going to add new columns as we go, as need arises. But I want a system where if I want a column like first name, I can just type get first name and then I can get the first name. So something that is called a getter, for example, that's what it's called. So what I want to do is create a public function. So public function. Now I want to use a magic method here. Just like earlier on, I told you that magic methods start with double underscore like this. And then, for example, construct is a magic method. But there's another magic method called call like this. Now, what call does is that if you try to call a function that does not exist, wait a minute. Okay, yes, so if you try to call a function that does not exist, instead, if this function exists in the class, it's going to be called instead of that function. So let's say I was trying to call isAdmin, but then I misspelled it and typed something, a function that does not exist here, then this function will be called instead. Now, the thing is, this is a static, we are calling these things in a static manner, right? Because these are the functions I'm trying to call. I'm going to be calling them in a static manner. So even this magic method must be static. But then static has its own version of call, which is static call. I hope that's how you spell it though. Hopefully that's how it is. So what I'll do is let's just try and echo. In fact, in a situation like this, if you are unsure of something, just Google it. So let's Google it. Let's say PHP static call magic method. Let's see, magic method like that. Okay, so it's core static. It's not actually static core, it's core static. So this wouldn't have worked at all. So like this. Alrighty then. So if now I put an echo like this, and then we have something going on here. Now what I'll do is I'm going to comment this out for a second so that we see what happens when this does not exist. So I'm just going to go to the navigation view right here where I want to echo somebody's name. So I'm going to put a div here. Let's put a division, and then I'm going to say hi John like this. So I just want to see that in my my project here, right? Let's come back. Where is our project? There we go. So refresh, and there we go. There's hi John, so showing us that we are logged in. But I want a name that is dynamic because this is a specific name. So what I'll do is I'm going to echo out auth like this, and then I'm just going to type a function I know does not exist, and this function is get first name like this. So normally in this situation I'm going to get an error, obviously. So let's see that error right quick, and there it is. So it says excuse me here, where is the error actually? So if you can see the error properly, like I said, right click and say view page source, and then scroll down to where usually that's the end. So it says code to undefined method. So it's saying the object exists but the method does not. Now if, for example, we go back to the auth and then let's switch on our magic method here. Okay, so the non-static version of this, if we are not using static, you'd have to remove this and remove this, both static here and static there, then it becomes the normal one, but this is for the static version. So what I want to do is when I call that function that doesn't exist, I want to show you that this will run instead, and we're going to echo the word here because that's what that function does when it's called. So let's refresh. Okay, so there's another complaint here. So let's view that page source again. It is saying core static must take exactly 2 arguments. That's what it's saying. Only one was given. Okay, great. So this must take 2 arguments. So let me put one argument 1. Let's put arg1 and then arg2. I don't know what these arguments will contain, but it needs them somehow. So let me refresh, and there we go. So you see now the function works. It's echoing out the word here. So now the thing is, I want to see what's inside argument 1. So I'm just going to echo argument 1 here. Or I could use print r in case the argument is an array. But there we see, it has echoed out the function I was trying to call. Okay, this is nice because what we can do now, if for example I had tried to call a very different function, here I'm saying get first name, maybe let me say get email instead, like this, right? If I refresh, you see that it shows me that's the function I was trying to call. Okay, great. So what does argument 2 contain? Let's see that. I think argument 2 contains an array of any values that were passed in. So I thought it would create an error because it's saying array to string conversion. Whenever you see this error that says array to string conversion, it means you're trying to echo an array, or you're trying to use an array as if it were a string. So which confirms that the argument number 2 is an array of items that were passed in. So we can use print r here instead to display this argument, because print r can print, and you can see it's an array. So if I had passed in some data, let's say here I had said hello, and then I had passed in another variable, but I'm just putting in actual values instead of variables. So if I had passed in those, it would actually show them here. You see hello, blah blah blah. So in other words, it shows you what function you were trying to call and whatever values you had passed in there. So that way you can have an alternative. So instead, what I'll do is this. We don't want to echo anything, we just want to return a value. So let's return a value, which we don't know yet. But we know one thing, this one is the func name. So let's name it appropriate, like func name. And then this one is just args, like this. Okay, so the function name has a get in there, right? So let's remove, actually, we don't even need to put the get here. We can just say auth email, but it helps to put the get for you to remember what it's doing when you do this, and also to prevent, in case we have another function called email, it will be different from this one, where we say get email. So we'll leave it like that. And so what I want to do is remove the word get here so that I remain with email, and then use that as the key to get what I want. So what I'll do here is I'm going to say value, or let's just create a string, is equal to, or let's call it key, shall we? Key is equal to the func name that was given, but let's use a string replace. So we'll say string replace. What are we searching for in our replacement? It's the word get, right? So get, what are we replacing this string with? Just an empty string. So we just want to remove it. And where are we removing it from? From the func name. Also, I want this to be lowercase, so that whatever happens, I convert it to lowercase. So string to lower, like that. So I pass in the lowercase version of the func name, remove the get that's there, and then I have my key, right? And then I'm just going to check to see if that key exists in the session data. So first of all, I have to check if session data actually exists or not. So I'll do this and say if not empty this one, then let's return, actually not just that, I want to see if the key itself even exists in user data. So right here I will say, because user data is an object, so I'll do this and say key, like so. Okay, so if not empty this key, which means it actually exists, then return it. Okay, so if it exists, return it. So from there, let's grab this and then say return, like that. Okay, so we're checking if that item exists, then return it. If not, then let's just return an empty string. So you can return an empty string, or you can say unknown, or whatever it is, depending on what you want. So let's see if this actually works to our advantage. So the args, we're not even going to use those. So now that I'm in the nav and I say get email, it should get the email of the user that's logged in. So if I refresh, you see there it says hi, email@email.com. Great. But what I want is the first name. So I'm just going to type first name. The capitalization doesn't matter because it's going to be changed to lowercase anyway, but you can capitalize to your pleasure. And there we go. Hi, Mary. So at least now we know that the user is logged in, and there is the login thingy. Now, usually this is better as a drop down like this. So what we can do instead is to grab the drop down. So I'm going to go to, let us see here. So maybe what I'll do, let me put it right over there. Okay, so when I show logout, at the same time I can show, wait a minute, there's drop down one. What does it say here? Categories. Okay, that's the one. So I'm looking for categories. Why can't I see it? And there it is, list item, and then another unordered list, search results. Wow, this is complex, right? Oh, there's a drop down within a drop down. This is why. Okay, no problem. What we will do is just copy what we need. So I'm going to copy this part right here, copy that, and let's bring it right here where we have logout. We won't need logout anyway, it will be part of the drop down. So I'm going to paste here like this, and let me make sure these things are in the correct order. So push them in like so. So instead of categories here, this is where I want to put the username. So I'm going to grab this, cut it, I'll delete this part. So let's just go here where there's categories and paste that. Hi, first name. Great. That alone should change things, right? There we go. So now we have Mary over here with the drop down. We don't need the logout because we can put it as part of the drop down. Let's remove this one that has an extra drop down because we don't need that really. And what does search result do there? I'm not even sure. Right. That's like a title. So we don't need that either. Out. So the things we'll need is, let's say, profile. That looks more like it. And then maybe settings. And then eventually we want maybe logout. So we can add as we need to eventually. So now I can remove this link to the logout and put it here. Paste, and then remove that instead, like so. Good. Alrighty then. So much better. Now if I refresh, this is what I get. Hi Mary, and then I can always log out, log in, and then back to this. Okay, so much better now, and probably good in responsive mode as well, because now it's over here and there. Alrighty then, very nice. Close that. Okay, so with this, we are ready now to go to the admin section, which is the profile here. Actually, we can put that link instead of settings, we can do duplicate. We can say admin, I don't know, something like that, or settings, or actually let's call it dashboard, shall we? Dashboard, like that. Okay, great. So this is where we go to the admin section. So I'm going to copy this link, put it here. This doesn't exist yet, but we'll create it. So we'll call that admin, like this. That's what I will call it. Great. Okay, so dashboard, if I click there, page not found, of course. But things are looking good now. So the way things are going to work is this. Maybe zoom out there. You're either a user, a normal user, or you're an admin, just those two rows. So admin or user. And then as a user, you can either be an instructor or a instructor or student. But we want to give the opportunity for you to be either of them, for you to be both of those things, right? So we're not going to specify whether you're just an instructor or just a student. You can be both at the same time. You can have videos that you've paid for, and at the same time you can create your own videos at your leisure. So both will be the same. It will just be user versus admin. So the admin will be the one that governs the entire website in this case, and the user is either an instructor or a student. Okay, or both, that is. All right, so I'll see you in the next video.